Hey guys, hey, it's Wednesday night, Worktable Wednesday live with Dreamin' Colors 72207. So we are getting ready to go live, and if you don't already know it, but I think you probably do, that the new catalog went live yesterday. So the new Stampin' Up catalog went live to the public yesterday, and so we're going to stamp with the new colors, the new in colors tonight. We're going to stamp with a set that's actually been carried over from the last annual, I think it was from the catalog, I don't remember if it was from the spring or from the annual catalog. Anyway, we're going to stamp with that in a little bit. So let me get started. If you don't have if you haven't already, please like the video, and I'm going to put it up on Facebook, or excuse me, on YouTube later. But we will get started as we go. Well, there's Barb. Hey, good to see you. All right, let me get the camera turned around and we'll get started. We're going to also talk a little bit about some organizational processes, some things to do to maybe speed up your card production when the time comes. All right, just a second. First thing I want to talk about tonight is the a little bit about mass production and organizing your work as you go forward. I'm going to adjust this camera just a scotch. You can see all the mess that's on my table, swaps that I've gotten in from people, but we're gonna look. Oops, that was kind of scary. Sorry. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and talk a little bit more about this. So one of the things that I want to recommend that you do when you are getting ready to have a crafting session, and I did this a couple of weekends ago, and it really made things much better for me. I chose the colors that I was going to work with for the project that I was doing. And in that particular case, I was using, let's see, it was actually last week. So I was using Mint Macaron, Smoky Slate, and Blushing Bride. And what you see here are pieces that I cut. I went ahead and cut multiple card bases and multiple front panels so that I had a number of card bases. Some were vertical, some were horizontal, and then in some situations I actually had the extra panels ready to go. Let's see, I'll just be the gray one. And I went ahead and pre-cut several of these things on and just had them on my table ready to go. So I didn't have to stop, pull out my trimmer, cut more paper to get a card base or something like that. But I had those ready to go. Now those have been burnished, and they are now, I'm clipped them together and labeled them. And I've labeled them because they were still out on my desk. Now, when I get ready to go through and do some more cleaning up, I'll take these and drop them back into the folders that I keep all of my cardstock in. So the majority of my cardstock I keep in these Avery ticket holders. This is a ticket holder that I ordered, I believe, from Amazon, and it will hold an entire package of the color cardstock, which is 24 sheets. It's 24 sheets of the cardstock, and so it holds that generously, and I like having that because then I also put my labels on these. Then I stack these, I store them vertically in my bookshelf in alphabetical order, not rainbow order, but that's my next project, is possibly change that to rainbow order. But but when I get ready to use this project, I want to go ahead and pull out the colors that I need. I'm going to move this sack out of the way. I pull out the colors that I need, and then I have them handy. And like I said, they're in this envelope, which they stay flat and they stay clean. And I like using this. So when I finish with these projects tonight, most likely I'll take these bases and stick them back into their appropriate envelopes. But the other thing that I'm going to recommend that you do, and like I said, when I was creating a couple of weeks ago and last week, I had these pre-made and were on the table. I had those and the white panels. That way I could concentrate on composing the card and looking at the stamped images and deciding what I want to do with the stamped images, as opposed to having to move the ink out of the way, pick it up, bring it back, so on and so forth. So the other thing that I like to do is I also like to keep on hand a stack of my basic white thick cardstock. And I like that because, first of all, it makes a nice basic, it's a nice weight for a card base. But again, I've got these ready to go, so then when I start creating, I have everything that I need. Now, tonight, and so what I also have, I'll add, this is just the basic white. It's not the basic white thick. I went ahead and cut these into quarters and have a stack of these so that I have these to stamp on. I don't, again, have to keep going into my stash to look for paper. I have these easily accessible on my table. Some have been trimmed to 4 by 5 1/4, or excuse me, 5 and 8 1/2, 5 1/2. Oh yeah, okay, I can't do this. 5 1/4 by 4. Some of these have already been trimmed smaller, but the ones that I've cut recently, I've just left at the same size because I said that way I'll decide when I want to cut them down, if I want to cut them down. Okay, so tonight, what you see here are the 5 new in colors, which we've talked a little bit about them coming out. They came out with the new catalog. I wake up in a new world every day. You know what, Barb? I do too. And as my grandmother used to say, I'm just happy I wake up. And so let's grab the catalog real quickly. If you're not sure what in colors means, Stampin' Up! Carries a selection of colors constantly. They carry what they call their color collections: brights, neutrals, regals, subtles, and basics. Brights are going to be close to your primaries. Your neutrals are going to be what you could use a lot of times for background colors. They do include Mary Merlot, Mossy Meadow, and Night of Navy as neutrals because they're such popular colors, and they are good background colors for things. The regals are going to be sort of your fall colors, and then the subtles are your pastels. The basics are your white, your very vanilla, basic black, bronze, and ivory, because they do also include those colors for which we have blends. In color collections, on the other hand, so this is a permanent collection, these colors. In color collections, if you look in the catalog, and let me show you, above the in colors, so this says 2020 to 2022, this says 2021 to 2023. So I think I've got it where you can see that. Let me, yeah. So for the calendar, or the catalog year 2020 to 2022, they also include these 5 colors: Cinnamon Cider, Just Jade, Bumblebee, Magenta Madness, and Misty Moonlight. They carry that for 24 months. Halfway through this period, they start another set, and they carry this for 24 months that starts in this time period that we're in now. This is the Fresh Freesia, Polished Pink, Evening Evergreen, Soft Succulent, and Pale Papaya. Obviously, last year's catalog had a set of colors that are no longer available, and that's what would have been in last year's process. Okay, so let's get this out. So what we're going to stamp with tonight are the new in colors, and we're gonna, and I've got this set up so that I can make multiple cards when I get to that. So I've started with, again, I took one piece of the cardstock and cut it in half, scored it so that I have a card base. I also have a panel here if I want to do anything on the panel, and then I also have the Whisper White for whatever I might want to do with it. So let's go ahead and grab a card panel, and we've got a card base, and this is in the Polished Pink, and I've picked up one of it. Now I've got this on a binder clip, and I took a post-it note and folded the sticky over so that it wasn't going to be sticky, leave any residue. Folded the sticky over onto itself, wrapped it around the card. That way it keeps it from making an impression on the card and keeps it nice and neat. So we're going to do this, and then we are going to stamp with the In Bloom set, and we are going to use this set right here. And so we're going to use this double flower, we're going to use that little flower, and this flower, these little, let's see, 1, 2, 3, I'm having trouble counting. 1, 2, 3, 4. I need one more flower. We'll make this. Okay, we're just gonna have a bunch of flowers on here, and then we're also going to use the bracket around the sentiment. Let's see. Is there anything else we want to pick up? Let's do these just in case. Now, something that I do is, since I'm going to be using the Stampin' Emboss machine, I thought I would go ahead and cut a number of different flowers and centers, because I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to use to make my flowers. But let's pull this together. Okay, so I'm getting ready to order some new plates for my Stampin' Emboss machine. I'm very excited about this. This will be the first time I've ordered replacement plates for this machine, but you can see my cutting plate. And you remember I keep one of my cutting plates completely uncut, and then this one is the one that I've put all the cuts on. So when I get my new plate in, this will become my cutting plate, and I'll have a clean one, and this will go in the trash. So let's go ahead and lay this in. Now let me just say that if you don't yet have one of these Stampin' Emboss machines, especially the mini size, I cannot tell you what an awesome investment this has been. I have used the daylights out of this. I use it for any number of things, but I love the fact that it is so portable, and I keep it up on the shelf next to my desk, so I don't have to, you know, not that the other one's hard, but it's just, this is much easier. So we're going to go ahead and do a number of flowers, and we're going to go ahead and do these flower centers out of this piece. Now you remember this is basically a 3-inch bed, maybe 3¼ inch bed. So we're going to go ahead and put this through like this, and then we've got that. Oopsie. Now the other thing I remind y'all that, let me do this. You know, when you're doing this, make sure that you always get your dies out and you get them off of the plate, and you keep track of your dies. I know when I was working on those florals last week that it got a little hairy. I had a lot of different pieces going a lot of different ways, and it got kind of crazy there. So I'm going to stick those right there. Barb, I have not been to the store to buy ice cream, so I do not have the lid, the Kroger vanilla ice cream lid to use for my die cut storage. I'm still just using a pile, and I'm so sorry if you're disappointed that I have not taken care of that appropriately. Okay, I'm going to cut 2 more pieces real quickly out of here. And you also know that the other trick, that if you have dies that look like they might be shifting just a little bit, is that you can always use a little piece of washi tape to secure them to the plate or to the paper, whichever you choose. And I just think this in bloom set, I think, is so cute. I love the faux stitching on the edges, and I'm thinking really hard about actually maybe taking a needle and thread and playing with that some. So I'm going to cut a few more of the pink. Let's see, put this down here, put this here. Let's see, trying to get as many of those in we can get. And you can see my dies all slid just now. Let me move this up so you can see. Any flavor, not just vanilla. Well, I know, I joke about that. We actually, we picked up strawberries this weekend up in Bald Knob, or in Newport, and oh my gosh, I'm telling you, that was that was really good. And so he actually did buy some vanilla ice cream, but I did not give him the heads up to get the Kroger so I could have the lids. But I think I will probably survive without having the specific lids. Okay, so we'll do that like that and do that. And let's see if, is that going to fit there? One last one. And you know, sometimes if you end up having the die slip, and let's say your die were to slip off the edge of your paper, you know, there's no reason to say that that flower would be unusable, because you can always tuck that behind something. I mean, there are no wrong ways to do any of this, and there are plenty of right ways to make things happen. Oh, you know what? While we have this out, let's go ahead and trim this piece. Let me get this. I'm going to use, cut this in half. All right, and we're going to cut this so that we can put our sentiment on this. Yeah, Barb, I've had all sorts of ideas, and I don't know, you know, I don't know how I ever worked and did anything. I don't think I did nearly as much crafting as I do now, but I've had so many ideas of things to do with these dies, and with all of the things that have come out, especially in the new catalog. And I mean, I've got the ideas are just popping. And so let's see, well, darn it, let's get those adjusted. I'm going to go ahead and cut some of these little flowers out of white, because you just never know. And that's the other thing, is that, you know, we have so many small baggies. You can get the little tiny Ziplocs. You can get the tiny bags that sometimes we get supplies from Stampin' Up. Some of our merchandise comes with inside those tiny zip top bags. And so it's a great way, to store your excess cuts, your extra cuts. So let's get this off of here. Well, now this is going to be one of those cards. It's going to be a little light on the stamping because we're doing so much die cutting. But let's pick up one of these pre-cut panels. There they are. It's like, what do I do with that now? Since we're going to use the front, let's go ahead and pull two of these out. We're going to use, so we use this and we cut some of the flowers out of that. We will put a panel on the front, and we will also put a panel on the inside. So we'll want to come back and stamp on that. So let's now take the sentiment. I'm going to stamp "You Are Amazing," because I don't think, well, "Happy Birthday" just won't fit. And congrats. How about let's do congrats, you're so fancy now. Let's see. Yeah, that'll fit. And we're going to pick up the polished pink stamp pad. Move this up here. Now I don't have my, yeah, do as I say, not as I do. Let's see. Where is my scrap paper? We're just going to use this. Well, that looks pretty good. Okay, so we'll do this. Now I'm going to pull this down just a little bit so I can get it centered. Okay. I've wondered also, you've wondered about, what have you also wondered about, Barb? Because I've lost my train of thought. Okay, we'll put that up for a second. Now let's go ahead and build our card. And so we will start with the flowers. Put those in there. And when you do this, you can just sort of lay things on here. And so I love those bright pink. It just screams spring to me. So I like being able to stack them up. So we'll come back and we'll put some of these on with dimensionals for sure. And then we'll go ahead and put some of these little flowers up this way and then build this down. Let's change that because I don't want the two that are just alike next to each other. Put that one up there, that one down here, that one like that. We'll dig these like this. We'll make a little 8-petal flower. I think that's what that's supposed to be. All right, so then we can come back and augment those with either the white centers or the pink centers. Okay, so let's go ahead and start building this. Now, I want to tell you, and I'm sure that was not obvious how I ever got anything done. Oh, exact. Thank you. See, also short-term memory loss. I've already forgotten what I was talking about. So I had originally planned to use a different set tonight, and so I was kind of doing this on the fly. And so you can tell that without doing a lot of prep work, I've been able to come in and do some pretty basic card design, as long as you keep some of these basic, things in mind about keeping your white cardstock and about having your cardstock available and ready to go. I'm telling y'all, here we go with the dimensionals again. All I can guess is I must have used those up on the swaps and everything else. So we'll just stick that on with a little dimensional there. We'll use this dimensional here. Now, Barb, I got a question. On average, how many dimensionals do you use on a card? Because this has been a long discussion. If you remember Elizabeth, this was always something we would discuss with Elizabeth. And then Karen Day says you can never use too many dimensionals, and so we've had much discussion. How many do you normally use on a card? Okay, let's get the take a pick tool. Let's see. About like you. Okay, well, yeah. I don't know that I use that many. Maybe I do. It doesn't seem like I use that many, but until, I don't think I'd use that many until I start looking to thinking I've got plenty, and then realize, oh, I don't really have plenty because I've used them all. Okay. So you can see this is a really, really simple card putting together. Not a lot is involved, which I am all about simple cards, to be honest with you. That's one of my favorite kind of card. Go ahead and make that pink and white there. Now I should have one more. Well, shoot. I should have one more white dot. Hold on a second, let me see if I can find it. Well, shucks. You like all the flowers the same color? What about the white centers? Because I don't know about that, but I'm kind of committed now, so we'll do this. Now, the other thing to remind you is to store your multi-purpose glue upside down, because that way it's always ready to go. You know, something else about these flowers, I like the stitching on them, but you know, you don't necessarily have to go with putting a lot of bling on this now, because you've got this very stark contrast with your white and your color, and so you don't have to do a lot of other stuff on the card, which is kind of nice. Go ahead and stick this up here. Oh, I would use yellow for the centers. Huh. I might come back and do the other one like that, another one, and do that. That's a good idea. I'm not much of a horticulturist, Barb. I can make silk flowers turn black on me. They wilt. Silk, and I'm not joking. Silk flowers wilt when I'm near them. Taking that one off. I don't like that there. I had a little glue spillage, and so it was rather large. Made a mess. Okay. Let's come back and put this right here. So all my flowers have centers. Everything's like that. So, oh, yellow is my sister-in-law's favorite color too. Like that, I guess, yeah, pretty much like Daffodil Delight. And then that was her favorite color, or is. And then she would mix it with navy a lot of the time. So let's just put this on here like this. And I'm not going to use dimensionals to put the sentiment on. I'm just going to stick it down like this. Now, what I was going to say earlier, and y'all, like I said, I'm sure it's pretty obvious that I did not have a lot of planning in advance for this class, or I mean for this demonstration tonight, but this is what was on my table. It's playing with the new stuff. Now, with that, and then we come back in. Now, I'm going to recommend that when you do this, we are going to take a piece of scrap paper, and we're going to stamp a little flower in the corner. One of these small ones, and if you had used yellow for your centers, I think you could easily do yellow and pink for your flowers on the inside if you wanted. So I'll just take this, I'm going to stamp it off once. It looks good. All right, we're going to stamp it whole, then we're going to stamp it off partially. We're going to stamp it whole again on that one, stamp off partially, and we're going to stamp it whole, stamp off, and stamp partial over here. So now for the inside of your card, let's go ahead and figure out, let's see what else we want to put on there. We've got, it says, congrats, you're so fancy now. You mean so much to me. How about we pick up a sentiment from Hippo Happiness. So, congrats, you're so fancy now. Nope, that's not going to work. We can put happy birthday. Now, the other thing is I do keep a lot of sets out sitting on my desk, so that, especially when I'm looking for sentiments, that it's easy to pick up the sentiment that you want, or pick up a sentiment, so that you can always add that to the paper. Okay, this is In Bloom. Use an odd number of colors on your card. Okay, well, I guess I don't know, do you count white as a color when you do that, Barb? I don't know that I would count white, but it's to each his own. So we'll put a happy birthday on this. So, okay. So try to line it up. You know, the other thing I love, the other thing I love about using these insets like this is that if you get it crooked, you can always flip it over, stamp it again. And that looks better. So let me wipe that off real quickly so I don't get, you know, this is a red based ink, so you know what's going to happen. There will be a crime scene after I use it tonight, because I'll have red ink all over me and all over creation at the rate I'm going, because that's just the way I roll. Okay, well, and so that's interesting, Barb. I've never thought about using an odd number of colors. I have used the odd number of flowers. That's something that I frequently use, is that if I'm doing an embellishment or a flower or something like that, I try to use an odd number, but never so much the colors. It's not perfect, but it's gonna work. So let's get that, do that, do that, and there you have it. From start to finish, this was about a 25-minute card. But now that this has been set, and you have this, and this is, like I said, there's not a lot of embellishments on it, so it'll be nice and neat and easy to mail. And the thing is, you can take this and you can do this in Night of Navy or any of the blues, and this doesn't necessarily mean, I mean, this can be non-gender specific. This one is this bright polished pink, but I'm going to come back and make one in soft succulent and see how that looks. And I'm also going to try some of these with Very Vanilla. So I will post some pictures on my blog with this and the other ones that I do. Kind of a little OCD. Oh, listen, Barb, I've got my colors, my paper in alpha order, with the exception of the end colors, because I know if I'm looking for, okay, that's my dog making all sorts of noises. He ate a Kleenex earlier today, and I'm afraid, regretting that. But I really want to put it in rainbow order, because I like the idea of a rainbow order, but then they won't be in alpha order, and I'm really fighting some demons on that. But Barb, you are with me on, I mean, I'm with you on that, with wanting to have some odd shapes in those, I mean, odd numbers. So thanks for watching along, and I will make some more of these, and like I said, I'll post them out on my blog when I get everything finished. So thanks for sticking around tonight, and hey, Barb, I hope you have a great week. Take care, and bye-bye.